Hi, my name's Billy, I read books and I've read Children of Memory, which is book 3 in Adrian Tchaikovsky's Children of Time series. I gave this 4 out of 5 stars. I had a good time with it, but I did have some issues. Let me tell you about it. So before I get into this specific book, because with this being book 3 in a series, there's not much I can say about it that will not be spoilers. So what I need to do is recap a little bit before I talk about this. And I want to tell you about this book in comparison to the other two. So everything I've heard about this series going in is that book 1 is amazing, book 2 is okay, and book 3, Children of Memory, nah, it's not that good. Don't bother, just read the first book. Well, I've read all 3 and I understand why some people may not like this book, because this is told, in my opinion, in a different way, in a more somber way. It's a lot more thought-provoking maybe, and it is, like I said, it's told in a different way, in a different structure to what you may expect. And it's that structure that I didn't particularly like. So in book 1 we have the species involved and humans. In book 2 we have that initial species, we have humans, we have a different species as well and something else. And then in book 3 we kind of have it all, and again it's another planet, more humans having gone out to terraform a planet, and a different species involved as well, again in a different way. So this story was going along in the manner of, you're hearing the story, you're going along, and then it kind of stops and then goes back or jumps forward and then goes back a bit and then comes to current and then goes forward and then goes back. And I was thinking, hang on a minute, the bit before we started jumping around, I was really enjoying that. But then the book almost decides to try and deliberately confuse you and hide what's going on. And it's that choice or that decision by the author that, for me, I don't know why they did it. I don't know why he did it. It's interesting enough, okay, but it's almost like it's just deliberately trying to confuse you. And I can imagine that there would be some people who would just be totally turned off by this. And to some degree, it was happening to me, because I was getting a little bit frustrated. But then the penny dropped as to what was happening. But then there's this other plot device that gets put in, that is kind of hinted at throughout the book. A couple of times it's hinted at, but then it becomes a major plot point. And I don't know why it was chosen. I don't know if there's going to be another book in this series or not, and maybe it'll become relevant then, I don't know. But as part of this story, just taking this story on its own, this plot device that was put in to explain why stuff was happening, it just felt not pointless, but not needed. If the original story that was going along up until we started jumping around timelines, before, after, far future, a bit further back, before we started doing that, if that story had just carried on, I think I would have had, and maybe lots of other people would have had, a much better time if the story was told in the how you would normally expect a book to be told, or a story to be told. So all those things kinda, not that I don't think I would have given this 5 out of 5 if it had have had that linear story. It was just frustrating. You know, when you're reading something that you're liking but you're just getting frustrated with, you can kind of appreciate what the author's doing, but you just wish they'd not done it. And that's how I was feeling with this. And then when you factor in as well the other species in this book that are used, and the way they communicated and talked to other people or themselves or whatever, honestly, I wanted to wring the necks. It's so frustrating. It reminded me of, for any fantasy readers watching this, there's a character in Malazan Book of the Fallen, and I cannot remember the character's name. They appear in book 2, and apparently they're supposed to be dead funny. but they're not. They're just so irritating. I wish I could remember that character's name. I'll put it below. But the kind of communication and the way they talked was like that. Oh God, it was like, it was one of the reasons why I DNF'd Malazan. I just did my head in. And it was the same with this. It was very, very irritating to me. So, but despite the irritation and despite the frustration, I was invested in the story. I was very invested with the story. And in fact, I was probably more invested in this story than I was in book 2. So there's something's done right. There's nothing, it's not getting away from the fact Adrian Tchaikovsky is one hell of a writer. He can write some flipping good books. I just wish on this one, he'd have just not done those things I spoke about. I mean, who am I to tell Adrian Tchaikovsky how to write his books? Clearly, I'm a nobody. He's a very, very talented man. But that's probably why I'd heard from different booktubers, different reviews, you know, just read book 1, maybe book 2, don't bother with book 3. Because I think as long as you know what you're getting yourself in for when you go in to read it, you'll probably be okay. Okay? If you've read it, let me know. Did you like the structure of the book? What did you think of that other species? Did you like them? Did you like them more or less than some of the others? And let me know in the comments below, and I will see you again in the next video. Take care. Bye bye.